Yesterday I told you that God has created us with a purpose, and unless and until we find out our purpose, unless and until we find out our absolute, we are going to seek and we are not going to be happy. He has done everything very beautifully. Now we should understand what are we really inside. Moreover, as I explained to you yesterday, that whatever I say is to be taken as a hypothesis, as a scientist who would keep his mind open and see for himself, because everything is not known to you. And whatever I say, you have to keep your mind open. You need not accept me blindly, because blind faith is of no use. But if you get your enlightenment, you get your self-realization, you actualize it, you become, then you have to verify for yourself whatever I say, is it true or not. For example, if I say that the Christ, our Lord, is placed in this center of ours, at the Agya Chakra, which I will explain to you in details. You are not to believe me that he is placed there. But you have to see for yourself, when you get your realization, you will be able to raise the Kundalini of other people. And when you start raising the Kundalini, you will find that it will stop at this point, because you will become your own gurus. The Kundalini will move at your fingers. And then when you will find the Kundalini has stopped here, you will be amazed that you will have to ask the seeker or the subject to say the Lord's Prayer. And that's the only way you can get out the Kundalini from that center. It's a mantra. It's a mantra. It's a chanting which was given to us. He could have given the Bija mantra, the seed of that chanting is Ham Ksham. But he didn't give, because he thought people will be, especially Christians, would be very rational people. So he thought better give a complete explanation of the whole thing. But every word of it is a mantra. But it is to be awakened. If it is not awakened, it's dead. It is to be awakened. This is the basis of Sahaj Yoga. Saha is born with you. Sahaja. Ja means born. And Saha is with. It's born with you, spontaneous. Its living process within you is your own right. You must have it. So this is a living process, and the living happening should take place. You should become your absolute. You should become your own guru. You should get complete integration within yourself. And then you will be able to discriminate, because the all-pervading power about which I told you yesterday is surrounding, is everywhere. Only you are to be awakened. Once you are awakened, you can start feeling them. The existence of that around you, on your fingers. Imagine on your fingers you start feeling that cool breeze of the Holy Ghost. That should happen to all of us. And the time has come, the blossom time has come, and thousands must get their realization. With this, today I would explain to you the different centers we have within ourselves and the chakras that are within us. I was amazed in New York. They said that people are taking a lot of money for this chakra therapy. When I just can't understand what they do about it. But all those who came from these chakra therapies had all their chakras ruined completely. I mean, you pay to ruin your chakras. I just couldn't understand. Anybody coming from India is not a saint. On the contrary, as I told you, there could be greatest thuggery in India. Yes, they're very intelligent, cunning people. They can be very good. If they are good, they are very, very good. And if they are bad, they are horrid. So you have to be careful when you think of an Indian, that as we cannot say that all Americans are Mr. Ford In the same way, Indians also, you must know how to discriminate. First of all, your discrimination power must come. Otherwise, you won't be able to make out who is the real, who is not the real. That must happen to you. Unless and until that happens, the rest of it is of no use. Because as I said, this room is dark and your eyes are closed. When you come inside, you see nothing but darkness, and I start telling you this is this, and I tell you there's one elephant you can't see and there's one tiger sitting here. You just believe it. There's nothing like that here. And you people are definitely much more honest, that you can't believe how people could be such fake. Or there can be fake people all over the world. I'm ashamed of it sometimes when I see that in the great country of yoga, where such great incarnations came in, such great work of the saints has been done, horrible people also are born in the same place, because that's the place they want to harm, they want to attack. They are negative, not only negative, but they are very, very dangerous. I may tell about them tomorrow or day after, but today I want to tell you about the good things that you are, the beauty that you are, and how beautifully you are made within yourself. So within us, as I told you, lies this residual power called as Kundalini. This is the part of the all-pervading power, which thinks, which understands, which coordinates, which loves. Is the integration of all these powers within us as this Kundalini. Now, so many books have been written about Kundalini. When I read them, I was shocked that how could people write books about Kundalini without understanding what it meant, without understanding where it was. Such big books have been written on Kundalini, which says the Kundalini is in the stomach, some says Kundalini is in the nose. I don't know, how could people write? I mean, it takes nothing for them to write something and to publish. And they are not afraid of God that they are writing all these nonsensical things without understanding it. So this is the Kundalini that is placed in the sacrum bone. Now this bone, even in English, is called as sacrum. This word comes from Greece. As I told you, that Greek people knew about Kundalini. Sacrum means sacred. This bone is a sacred bone. And why is it a sacred bone? Because the Kundalini, the primordial desire within us to be one with the divine, is still unmanifested and sleeping, and is the safest place where it has to be. Now you are paying attention to me. Now if I say you pay attention to yourself, you cannot. You may say I am paying attention, but you cannot. You cannot take your attention inside. But if there is some happening within you, then your attention is drawn inside. So it is built like this, that at a human level, this happening will take place of sprouting. And when this sprouting takes place, then your attention is pulled inside. This attention has gone out because of the prismatic, as you say the prism here, prismatic action of the brain of a human being. I will not go into the details of it, but there is a big science about that, why our attention is outside all the time. Now below the Kundalini, which is 3.5 coils, is placed a very important center of innocence. Is the center of innocence. The first thing that was emitted out of the all-pervading power was, it had the form, I should say the all-pervading power was nothing but just innocence, which is the most powerful thing in this world, is your innocence. And this innocence is placed below the Kundalini and is adorned by the deity called as Sri Ganesha, who has a trunk like an elephant. This is the bija, this is the seed of Christ. This forms the seed, and then he incarnated on this earth. This is the subtle form on this earth, as Mahavishnu is written down in the Devi Purana, or we call him as Christ. The name Christ and his name Jesus, also has a very big meaning and relates to something that happened before him. Now this great incarnation of Christ came on this earth, which was nothing but innocence. Innocence itself took the form, and it was the all-pervading power itself which took the form and came on this earth. That's why this is a very important center, is the beginning. Because it is innocence, it is like a lotus, and it is placed at a point where the gate to hell are open within us. This center gives rise in the gross. Now this is a subtle center called as Muladhára chakra. Chakra Muladhára. Muladhára means the support of the root. Now root is the Kundalini. It is the support of the root. Kundalini is the mother. And this is your innocence. This is your childhood. And that's the mother. And the mother is there to give you your realization, waiting all the time. She is your own individual mother, and she is just waiting ages together to give you the experience of self-realization, to give you your second birth. Now the last center looks after, in the gross, the pelvic plexus, which you have heard of, which has also got 4 subplexuses. This has also got 4 petals, as we call it. There are 4 petals. So this center looks after the pelvic plexus in the gross, which looks after the excretion. This center we must consider at length a little bit, which is very important to understand, that this also looks after the sex and reproduction, mainly the sex and other excretions. Now you can see here that it is placed below the Kundalini. That means sex does not play any part in your evolution. It does not. Those people who say that sex has something to do with Kundalini are really blasphemous and very ugly people, because you cannot put sex to your mother. It's something even today is not accepted. When people have become so much lenient about sex, is not accepted. And this is what it is when people talk of sex and Kundalini together. As a mother, I give them a little chance, or sort of a little grace, because to say that they originated all this from deliberate action will be too much. I would say that maybe when they were meditating, at the sex point they might have seen Ganesha's trunk, which they might have thought to be the Kundalini. Possibly that's how they went into a wrong situation. But of course it's a very wrong thing. We have had cases in New York and here also, where the private parts of people were touched by some of the people and are having a very bad time with that action. That's your private. It has nothing to do with sex. Animals are more sex conscious than you are. Are they going to get evolution before you get? Moreover, the whole thing that is worked out in such a way that we have started having the sex through our mental activity, which is a wrong thing. Christ has said, "Thou shalt not have adultery. Thou should not commit adultery. But I say verily to you, thou shalt not have adulterous eyes." Because he knew this would happen one day, that the sex would move from there to this Swadhisthana chakra, the second chakra, by which we think. And then it will come into our thinking and our eyes will start roving around. And then actually the sex act minimizes. And it becomes a big problem. I mean, to be a sex point itself becomes an achievement for people there. It's such an absurd thing to do. And this is what is a very big confusion today in the modern times. I mean, you cannot make compromises with Christ. What he said is absolute. But unless and until you understand that sex as a married life, as a private thing, is the one that has been sanctioned for our sustenance as human beings, that has to be looked after, is to be respected, is sacred. And that's why anything else that we try to do, all kinds of perversions and these things, you won't believe that all kinds of perversions come to us because we are no more there. Mostly we get possessed. We had one boy who came to us in New York, and he told me, "Mother, I'm a man, I have moustaches and everything, but I want to be like a woman. I want to be dressed up like a woman." And he talked like a woman. He said, "I want to walk like a woman. I don't know what to do with myself. I am so confused. And I cannot have any relationship with any woman because she gets confused with me also. And I don't know what is happening to me, why I want to be like this." And I could see he was possessed by a woman. He was just possessed by a woman. Simple thing as that. Very simple. It is extremely simple. And when that possession was removed, he said, "I am a man again." It's so simple. In one day. He is a different man altogether today. Absolutely a different personality. And it can happen to a woman. We had somebody from Australia, and she got possessed by a man, and she started talking like that, and behavior, the whole thing. Her husband got frightened, and he couldn't understand what's gone wrong with this lady. And the whole attitude, the whole beauty of a woman was lost into the style of a man, and it was so funny and odd to look at. Same thing. She came to Sahajoga and the spirit ran away. She is a beautiful woman now, extremely beautiful, and they are having a very good relationship. So when you try to do anything perverted with the sex and do not respect it, you do not know what things are awaiting us around.